This is an emergency broadcast from PHNX Rising Podcast. Have you seen this ad man? He's missing. If you find him, please contact the PHNX Rising Podcast immediately. Yeah, Max is still not here.
I'm worried sick.
He could be anywhere.
5 shows now. 5. I mean, we might.
I'm running out of fingers on one hand.
We're creeping up on double digits. I mean, not really.
Well, it might be
like
soon.
could be. Yeah.
Welcome to the PHNX Rising Podcast. It's Wednesday.
It is.
The season is 10 days away. Max may not be with us, but he's still telling you to leave a like. Whew.
Makes it sound like he like. I mean, I just hope he's having a good time on
I hope
whatever
he's having a good
vacation
time.
he is.
I don't know. I haven't heard anything
I
from
actually
him.
haven't,
Like
yeah.
he's been completely silent.
No tweets, no Instagram posts. Sorry for free ads on social media platforms, but Max isn't here to stop
Well,
me.
if you
is
say
he?
3 ads multiple times, eventually Max
He
will appear.
Yeah.
Just start naming brands.
Just name
brands.
I'm scared though.
No,
what if he
just
hires
name
like
brands.
a hitman?
Any brand. Name a brand, any brand.
I can't think, man.
Kyle, name a brand,
I'm just
any
scared
brand.
of Max.
Adidas,
Wow. Nike. Umbro.
Puma.
Whoa, Max, where are you? If you're here, anywhere. He's not here.
I think he's gone.
He's gone.
Well, the show must go on.
It must.
It must. We got football to talk about. Phoenix Rising signing Casey Walls. They did play a preseason game against St. Louis City 2 last weekend as well. And looking ahead, of course, to this intra-squad friendly coming up on Friday. Rees, you were at that game.
I was.
You did get to see that game. What happened? Let's just get your thoughts on it. Come on.
It was 2 different halves.
That's how
yeah.
football
Well,
usually
no,
works, you know? Like, it's, you do the one half, and then
Yeah,
you take
well-
like 15-minute break, and then you come back, and you do another half.
Well, it was nearly 3 periods. So
yeah,
I'm
because
very
it's
thankful it
preseason, they
wasn't
make
3
stuff up as they go
periods.
along.
But the 2 halves were very different. I know that's just very bare bones, but Rising looked very different in the first half and the second half. The first half, Remy Cabral scored a hat trick. Damian Rivera scored one himself. I was very impressed by Rising in that first half. Guys were pressing at a level that I hadn't really seen them run like that before. Like from Darius Formella, Remy Cabral, they were. I know it's St. Louis City too, so you really can't factor. Oh, their press was shutting them down, but they were just running after it. You could hear Pa on the sideline screaming, "Go, go, go, go!" almost nonstop. It was really good and refreshing from that standpoint. The back line was very interesting. We kind of talked about how there's quite a few guys in there who are defense optional. It was very fluid. Colin Smith started that first half at right back, and there were times when Rising had the ball where he was almost playing as that right winger, and Formella would push inside. Braxton Montgomery is who we believe played a left back at that start of or in that first half. He inverted a lot, and then Carl Sante dropped back to form a kind of faux back 3. It was very interesting just how fluid it looked in that first half. The second half, it was still as fluid, but a few changes. I mean, the front 3 changed from Damian Rivera, Remy Cabral, Darius Formella to Darius Johnson, Isan Sacco, and Jearl Margaritha. And that second half front 3, I don't know if they hadn't played together or what, but they just weren't clicking. Isan Sacco drifted a lot into the wings, and Margaritha and Darius Johnson just didn't know how quite to work with that.
interesting. Any more takeaways?
Patrick Kurkowski looked really good. He made a couple of saves that I don't know if I would bet on him to make last year, and his passing looked better than I've seen it. Tristan Henry played the final 30 minutes, and he was much more of a vocal presence. He wasn't tasked with doing much though, but it's still interesting to see what that goalkeeper battle is. I'd assume it's Rakowski based off who played the more minutes then, but then again, who knows?
Yeah. So if overall, taking it just as one big kind of consideration here, you feel better about the team after that?
I do, because I feel like a lot of my questions, not a lot, but I feel like I have a few more answers to how the 4-3-3 is going to look. Because when you say you're going to play a 4-3-3 with an attacking style, that really doesn't mean anything. Like it's because the 4-3-3 can look a million different ways. And it was just interesting to see how it looks. Noble Okello played as an 8 on that right side, and that guy was just running up and down the pitch all day long for his 45 minutes. So I was very interested to see who the lineup would be with that, and I feel like I have a few more answers now.
You feel like you do? Okay, good. Now, you mentioned some of those players being kind of defense optional. Obviously, that's something we know. I mean, there's a bit of a concern, isn't it? Right? When you're coming up against St. Louis City 2, maybe not that much of a concern in terms of how that pulls together when you're not expecting them to be the most prolific maybe in the front. But so you take that as Birmingham Legion coming up in August, right? I believe it's August. They're coming across here. Regardless, they're coming over here in the summer. And they're going to come out with an attack that's going to feature Ronaldo Damas. It's going to have Danny Trejo. It's going to be in your face. Is that something that you think would be quite a concern?
I'd be concerned for how Rising build out the back, but also how they look in transition moments. I think that how Rising looked in possession, I mentioned how it kind of turned into a back three based off how Carl Sante moved. If they lose the ball, I think there'd be problems down the flanks on those left and right hand sides, because Colin Smith, as I said, was playing so high up, and then Braxton Montgomery in that first half inverted. It would be something that's where I'd have some concern. But I think if Birmingham Legion against Rising, or a team that with a powerful attack was sustaining possession, Rising were able to sit in defensively, I think they would do a good job. But I think it's the moments, as I said, where Birmingham Legion's on a counterattack, that's where they could be able to catch this Rising team out.
Yeah, I think that's something that, again, you just look at the team at large, right? Okay, I know you mentioned Braxton. Maybe we don't see a whole lot of him, but I am expecting to see young players featuring. There's going to be some youth, I think, from this club that will be featuring more heavily this year. When you look at kind of that left back position, I mean, you got Emi Quayshaw, right? Who, yeah, he's got the work rate defensively at times, but I don't know if he's a true left back in the sense that he's going to be good enough in some of those moments. When you consider the whole of that back line, right? When you also add in the fact that, I mean, who else could you have at left back? Ryan Flood, who's probably a more aggressive left back. Ideally, if everyone's fit, you probably play a Mo Traore, Pa-Modou is probably, but Casey Walls could also give a bit of a threat to that. We'll come on to him a bit more later. And then you have Colin Smith. But you're in a point there whereby you're kind of looking at a back line where you've got a back of 4, and 3 of those guys are quite aggressive. I mean, Mo, maybe you squeeze him wider at times and leave him further back, but he can sometimes move up the pitch a bit. I don't know. He's not a player you often see in a back 2, is he? Or the 2 centre back pairing. We haven't really with Rising that much.
Yeah, I mean, I know
we've gone over this a lot. But
yeah, I'm thinking like, well, because a lot of the time he's been here, it wasn't a back 4.
No, it wasn't.
He was. I mean, there were times where he played the left-sided center back, but yeah, we really haven't seen him too much in a back 4, either as that left back or left center back. So that's gonna be something I'm intrigued by. But
I mean, you're gonna have someone drop back presumably from the midfield. That's the way that this usually works, right? You find a way for one of your more defensive-minded midfielders is gonna drop in. They're gonna take up some defensive duties in those moments. But how it's going to come out when you're playing against a team that's got a good attack is going to be the big question. We know this is a team that's going to try and press as well, realistically. They're going to be, I think, a more intense team than we've seen in prior years. But again, it's how you prevent that from looking too one-dimensional. Because again, right, the teams that they're getting results against right now, St. Louis City 2 is the first professional team they've beaten this preseason. Obviously Phoenix College, you're expected to absolutely knock them all over the park. St. Louis City 2, it's a convincing win in the sense of the number of goals that they score in that one, but it's all in one half. All out of one particular forward grouping. In fact, mostly out of one player in particular as well. Even though obviously goals are to an extent a team effort as well. But there's a lot that goes into that it almost makes you wonder if they're quite as together as you'd like. There are good signs, and I wonder if just still if it's all there, if all the pieces are gonna kind of mash in correctly into this jigsaw and it pull off correctly when it comes around to taking the field for the regular season. Tulsa should be a relatively easy start, mind, but there are still, to me, some questions that I have around this team, even if I think that I see the vision.
Mm-hmm.
I still have some questions in there.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, there was just so many questions answered for me, and the back line and forward. There were a few times where they just couldn't connect, but there were a few times where St. Louis just pressed. And I know a MLS Next Pro team pressing a USL Championship team shouldn't cause much trouble, but when it did, there were a few instances where Rising were kind of pinned back deep. Colin Smith and Pa-Modou Kah and Alex Araneda, they played at some point in that first half together, and but they'd make a pass to Noble Okello, and Noble Okello, I mean, I think he's listed at 6'5". He looks 6'7". He was huge, and he would take the ball and just charge forward, just drive down the pitch and then drop it off for someone. That was kind of one thing I was just so excited about, because it was something where what role does he offer in this team? Because is he a center back? Is he a number 6? Is he a number 8? And it gave me a bit of excitement just because he was really just shuttling between attack and defense just like that.
All right, let's talk now about Casey Wills. Brought up in the chat. Let's talk about Casey Wills signing it for Rising in this last week. We do have a clip from Darnell. We'll play that one out now to start things off.
Yeah, Casey's sharp. He's got a wicked left foot. He can ping a ball. He's good. He's a great communicator. He organizes the team well from behind. He's a great person to have, and he likes to get stuck in as well. So good on Casey. First day he got cracked, so it was, he stood up, wrapped his head, and went back to it. So that's what I love to see about my play.
Yeah. So as we look at Casey, you got a chance to see him on the weekend. Just the thoughts overall on Casey.
Left-footed center back, as Darnell mentioned. He didn't really have too many touches. I mean, he made a few good passes. I'm very intrigued by him. I was looking at some of his time in MLS Next Pro just to get a better understanding of him, just because the defense really didn't have too much to do throughout the whole match, but especially in that second half. And it's an interesting player. I'm intrigued to see if he can make a charge for that starting left-sided spot. Him and Pop did look good. Pop looked really good on the ball, though. But it's just I think he's really just going to push Mo and just kind of force a competition between those two players in the depth chart.
It is going to be the question going forward. Again, he's someone who's done all right in Next Pro. So he comes in with that kind of, and he has played in USL Championship before as well, when he was with Austin. So it's going to be an interesting one. Again, it just adds more depth in a position this club really needs depth in, and it's starting caliber depth as well, I'd say. So definitely not something that's a negative as you're looking going into the season. Any last thoughts you have right now based on just what we've seen so far, how things are coming together?
I'm intrigued. I'm excited really to see the youth movement. I mean, you talked about that earlier. Some of the guys, there were quite a few that got time in that match against
Anyone
St. Louis.
stand out?
Braxton Montgomery, as I said, and Jamison Ping. Jamison Ping, there was a moment where he was, I can't remember who played him the ball, but he played it a bit too far ahead of him. But the St. Louis player just kind of shoved him straight into those ad boards, which I believe were covered up, if Max is wondering. But he got up. I mean, those ad boards are just like, I don't even know what they're made of, but that's not a fun collision.
I like how
whatsoever.
right now, here's the thing. Jameson Ping, real talent from everything I hear. You're not really selling him. You're just like, he ran into ad boards and he got back up again.
No, if you were there, you would know what I'm talking about. The whole crowd just erupted. Like, genuinely,
I know, but
it was
no
louder than any
offense.
goal.
I've seen crowds get wound up over a lot of stuff that's just pointless.
Like, he just
You're not
like,
really selling it right now.
I think it's
like,
much more like there were moments of just technical ability, which I saw, but
there
like,
we go.
there-
There we
it
go.
was
Technical.
much
Let's talk
more-
about technical ability, Rees.
I think like the thing that stand out to me was that moment.
You
And
can
that's,
tell
the
this
whole
guy's
crowd
kind of
did. The
English.
whole
He's
crowd
very
did.
much like, get stuck in.
I mean, it was great.
Yeah.
I mean, ask people that they're there. They know what I'm talking about. Owen, you missed out. You missed out on a great the highlight of Phoenix Rising season. Jameson Ping crashing into the ad board and getting up. That will be in the highlight reel, the documentary at the end of this season.
We'll see if we see more of him as the season goes on. But
Yeah.
Look, at this point then, I think we should also point out Remy Cabral, obviously, on goal-scoring form. Obviously, you want to see it.
He was clinical in that match. He scored a penalty, but two of his other goals were just very clinical finishes. He looked really decisive too in the box. It wasn't like last season we saw him take one too many touches at times, and that kind of cost him of good chances. But on Saturday, it was just one touch shot or shot first touch. He really just got going quick.
All right, so we're feeling good?
Feeling great.
Feeling good. All right, well, we're going to have some predictions and some talk around that coming up on the other side of the break. But first, while Pa-Modou Kah has the wheel at Phoenix Rising, let the Waymo driver take the wheel for you. Now, we've been speaking to kind of a few people about this and what their songs would be. Here we go. He's sitting over there, but we're not going to involve him in the conversation. What would Kevin's sing-along song be in the Waymo?
Kevin sing? Hi, U of A fan, so...
Bad taste initially.
Yeah,
We've kind of established that.
Yeah, no offense.
What would you... Because obviously you're in a Waymo, comfortable time.
That's
Well, you're
tough.
thinking... Comfortable, those tracks, they're great cars. Always a good ride there. And of course, you've got a bit of privacy in there, which is great. Which is why you can sing along so loud.
I think it's going to be... I actually have no idea.
Because we know
I
that
really
you would
don't
sing
know.
along. You don't have
Yeah,
any
I
idea,
don't
Kyle?
know.
Oh, I know.
What would it be?
Teenage Dirtbag.
Teenage Dirtbag? He'd be singing.
I don't know
he'd
if that's
be
the name of the song, but he's
screaming.
been singing that for weeks.
Teenage Dirtbag. I can see it. I can see it. That sounds about right. That sounds about right. We're getting a nod. We're getting a nod from off camera from Kevin. So that's a... I think you nailed it pretty much there. Well, join in. You can go along singing Teenage Dirtbag in the car as well. Download the Waymo One app and ride today. And with the season around the corner, Phoenix Rising heading off to El Paso early doors. If you're going to make the drive over there, make sure you fill up over at Circle K. They're America's thirst stop, but you can also make savings on your gas fill-ups joining the Inner Circle program. It's a free membership program, really easy to sign up. Just need to put your email and phone number in on the app, and you save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups, 3 cents per gallon every day thereafter, plus plenty of other member-exclusive deals and discounts that help you stock up for the road trip if you're making the long drive over there to El Paso. You making the drive over to El Paso, Rees?
No.
You're disappointing me in doing so. But, if you were going to, where would you fill up?
Circle K.
Absolutely, he would. Now, remember, you can join the Inner Circle program for free and get all of those discounts by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details. Right, Rees.
Yes. That's my name.
The USL show made their predictions yesterday for the Western Conference. And you know what we say to the USL show?
Let's one up you. I don't
Yeah,
know.
let's one up you.
All right.
Yeah. No, we love some of the guys on the USL show, but we're gonna make our own predictions here because we feel like we should. I feel like, look, mine were very much based on vibes. There was some insight as well, but mine were a lot of based on vibes. Rees, how would you describe yours before we pull them up?
Vibes, but a little bit of insight, a bit of both.
We're kind of both doing this. It's vibes and insight. I mean, look, it's the USL Championship Western Conference. Before we go into this, I want to say this. The West is a mess.
Yes.
We don't know what is going on in this Western Conference. I don't think anyone knows what is going on in this Western Conference.
Yeah, I have a bad feeling that all of our predictions are going to age like milk, and like it's just going to be the complete reverse of what we're predicting.
El
But
Paso's going to win the conference?
are you saying you're predicting El Paso bottom?
I mean, we'll get onto that in a second, but you can infer what you like from that. I'm intrigued. But Rees, are we ready to kick this off?
We are.
All right, we're going to start with Reese's predictions, I think. Here he goes. Rees, talk me through.
Sacramento won. I know they don't have Mark Briggs anymore, and I know they lost the best player in the USL Championship. Or at times last year, Kieran Phillips up top. But it's still, they've got so many guys there. Russell Cicerone's there. Trevor Ammons there. It's hard not to go them. Colorado Springs at 2. I know that's kind of a tough one because they've lost guys like Ronaldo Damas. But they've also brought in Marco Micheletto from New Mexico, who was very, very good creating chances for that New Mexico United team a year ago. And then bringing back Juan Tejada is key. Orange County, they've made some good signings this year. They're not like fabulous, but like honestly, from 3 to 8 is you could coin flip, and I think you could pick those 6 teams, but in any different order, and like I'd be able to agree with you at some way. I do like Tristan Traeger going to Orange County though. New Mexico, this is another one where it could go one way or it could go another, boom or doom. I don't know with them yet, but I think it's like safe to go 4 just because I feel like I like some of the players they brought back. But I don't know for them. Lexington, they're definitely a boom or doom team. I like a lot of the guys they've brought in, but they're not like great players. They're just like good players. I feel like they don't have that guy, but like Marcus Epps is there, Lucas Stauffer, guys that have been around this league. Phoenix at 6, that's another team where I think they could be anywhere in that 3 to 8 range. 6 is just feels like the safest spot, as close to the middle as you could get. Oakland at 7. I do like some of their moves, bringing in guys like Panos, Kai Green, Jurgen Damm, but I feel like they just don't have too many guys there. I mean, like they just lost Johnny Rodriguez to Vegas, who I have in the 8 spot. I think Oakland is maybe a signing or 2 away from moving up to like that 4 or 5 range, but getting into the playoffs for them is kind of key. Vegas at 8. I like some of the guys they've brought in. Knight Pickering is one. As I said, Johnny Rodriguez. They lost quite a few guys. Corey Bennett, Grayson Duty, Jason Gondo. But we'll see. San Antonio, I really don't know what they're going to be. They have lost quite a few guys from last year. I don't really like any of their signings. I think that's one that I would pencil them in to miss the playoffs, but who really knows, because you're one MLS loanee away from just burning the league. El Paso 10, Tulsa 11, Monterey Bay 12. I'm pretty sure everyone that's going to predict this league table in any shape or form is going to have that as their bottom 3, just in a different form. Monterey Bay, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't they say before last season, or not before last season, but when they were trying to get people to sign up for season tickets for next season, so the 2025 season, that if they miss the playoffs, they'll refund everybody? I feel like I've heard that.
There's some kind of money back.
Yeah.
So if they don't make the playoffs. Yeah, I remember that.
Could be a good investment, because
they
I
have
don't think
told
they're
them
making the
they
playoffs.
will pay back 20% of a season ticket cost if the team fails to make the playoffs.
Well, Monterey Bay, get ready to open the checkbooks and pay everyone 20% back. Because I just
You're not
don't
convinced.
think, I'm not. I do like Malay Malanga there. I know he was good in MLS Next Pro, but I really don't like many of their signings there, and I don't think they've ever really been a good team in this league, but I don't think it's going to get much better anytime soon there. But they do have nice kits. They do.
Big kit fan?
Big
kit fan. All right. Should we move on to mine? I feel like it's time to move on to mine. And there's no prize for who finishes top in this. We're sticking with Sacramento. Look, Neil Collins coming into Sacramento. I think it's just a good kind of evolution of that team where they're at right now. Obviously, they were, I think, a better team than their final position showed last year, even if there is going to be a couple of questions in part about, depth still in certain places. And obviously, losing a guy like Phillips as well is not ideal. When he, I think, played a reasonable role when he moved there.
Yeah.
But they have made some good acquisitions. I mean, any team that I think is pretty solid at the back. I mean, you've got guys like Kleeman coming in, but you've still got people like Vitiello, who I know get some hate among the rising fan base, but I still think he's a very good goalkeeper for this league, even if maybe he doesn't deserve quite all of the plaudits that he gets. I'm not sure if he's the best goalkeeper in the league, but he is a very good goalkeeper in this league. I just feel as though, especially in a weird mixed bag year in the West, a team like that is the kind of one that's going to come out on top. It's funny that we've put them top. The USL show put them top. It feels like everyone's kind of just saying Sacramento at the top right now.
And they're going to end up finishing sixth.
They're going to end up finishing sixth. Everyone has the expectation. And Neil Collins. I'll tell you what, if they finish sixth, I'll be intrigued to see kind of the progression in Neil Collins over the course of the year. How he gets more and more progressively more and more wound up. Looking at New Mexico, right? Obviously, this was a team that I think overachieved last year, and they've lost some key pieces there, right? Guys like Michaeleta, guys like Sergio Rivas, right? Interesting pieces in there that they've had for some of these for quite a few years now. Equally, if you're asking for a team that's going to overperform, do you look to a team that's got Sanchez at the helm?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do, right? And here's the thing. Who's at the helm for New Mexico?
Sanchez.
There we
can't
go.
remember his first name. Is it Mario?
I just feel as though he'll keep them in a position where they're going to somehow, scrape results out. That's just, again, to an extent, this is vibes because a lot of these teams in the West, we kind of said it. You could just pull them out at random and see what happens. Some of it's going to be just down to who hits form at the right time almost. Like who hits form early may be quite a big help. Orange County in 3, you went for this as well. I'm intrigued by their setup there. I think that they've got a little bit more to them this year. Danny Stone obviously came in and did a job there last year, turning them around when they were struggling and got them into that playoff spot, got them through the first round of the playoffs as well. And I'm really intrigued to see how McKinnon comes into that squad as well. I think there are some interesting acquisitions there. Traeger, McKinnon, right? I'm intrigued by that team. I think they've upgraded compared to where they were last year when you look at the mix of who's in and who's out. And for me, in a topsy-turvy, awkward West, that's good enough for me. Colorado Springs, I think they've got a fall off from last year. I know some people are really quite, I think, happy with what they've got there. I still see a fall off, and the reason I see a fall off is because Ronaldo Damas, I don't know if they've gone for what they were saying, and I did listen to some of the previews from the USL show. They were kind of going down maybe they've replaced in the aggregate. I don't think that's how this league tends to work. I think that a lot of the times the teams that do well in this league tend to have one or two big goal scorers, or if you're really lucky, you have 3 or 4 of them. But I don't think that these teams tend to focus on smaller numbers spread around more so much as to be good in this league, you have to have someone who's pretty obviously going to score a good number of goals. Damas, to me, is that kind of a player. He has been at pretty much every club he's been at in USL Championship. And losing him, and I think not necessarily having the most obvious straight-up replacement you've brought in to replace him is always going to drop you off a couple of spaces in my mind.
I mean, yeah, I'm just looking at their roster right now. I like Justin Dillon's there, and I know they acquired him mid-season. He's not a great option at that number 9 spot. He blows a lot of big chances. But keeping Juan Tejada, I am a big Juan Tejada guy. I feel like he always scores against this Rising team, no matter what. But I like bringing in Micheleto is big. But again, losing Damas, like it cannot be overstated how big that is. I know he wasn't like he was a great player on that team. He didn't like win them the final, but it's still for 34 matches losing him is big.
Yeah, no, it is. That's always going to be a challenge. Right. Well, if we're looking now a little bit further down the table, moving on to the teams that are outside of the top 4. I'm going Oakland in at 5, and I may be slightly over-egging them here. I wasn't entirely sure which way around I wanted to put it between Oakland and Las Vegas, to be honest, in the 5 and 6. I've ended up going with Oakland. I just see a team that I think is improved. I don't know if it's huge improvement, but I just feel like around the board they brought a few interesting players in that have raised the level there. I mean, would you agree with that or no?
I just have a few questions
Okay.
about them. Namely, like, who is their number 9 at this
That's
time?
now the question.
Yeah.
And that this is something that's come up, and it also impacts here. And maybe the right answer would have been to flip Vegas and Oakland around in this case.
Yeah.
Mostly because Oakland's loss is Vegas's gain right now. But to me, I see some improvement in other places. If they can find a way to get the goals,
Yeah.
I think they'll do well.
I think that's just the
but
big
that's
thing.
going to be the big thing is,
Yeah.
do they have the goals in there? I don't know. We'll see.
Because
See, now as I talk about it, and the more I talk about it, and bear in mind, we made these predictions about 30 minutes before we came on
yeah,
air.
thought about it for like 10.
Talk about it for like 10 seconds. Just to peel back the curtain a bit there. I'd probably, if I was given a second bite at it, maybe flip those two around. I'm higher on Vegas than you are, and we'll move on to Vegas in 6 then as a result, because yes, they have lost Corey Bennett. Johnny Rodriguez, to me, is a player who they can rely on to score a decent number of goals. He may not be Corey Bennett, but he's going to be a decent goal scorer in that team. They've done so while retaining some other interesting players. I mean, obviously, Valentin Noel,
Yeah.
keeping him there.
Edison
Look,
Ascona too.
Yeah, there are players there that I think are good players. How it comes together, new coach, that's going to be the question. Always a big bit there. But I still think while they'll drop off, I don't think they quite drop off as far as you are predicting them to drop off, Rees.
No, I do think that's fair. I just think I don't have questions. I was one of the bigger defenders of this move, but I think how do you say his last name? Antonio Nocerino, I believe, from Miami. I do think he's a better manager than the results showed with Miami, but I do think this switch from Dennis Sanchez to him is going to be a bit tough.
Okay, all right. Now we look at where Rising are. Now, I have Rising in 7 on here. The reality is I have them in a range from about 4 to 9. And quite where they fit in that, I don't know. And a large part of that's going to be based on how well this team steps up. We speak about Phoenix every time, so there's not much point in kind of going into this. Lexington, a lot of people feel good about Lexington. I've got them in at 8, but the reason I've got them in there is because I still think this is a team that'll probably need time. Most of these teams usually do. The sheer amount of turnover they have, which obviously they needed, just by the very nature of making a move from being a mediocre League One team to wanting to compete in the championship. For me, look, you look at the names they're adding: Speedy Williams, Marcus Epps, Logan Ketterer in goal. Guys like Kendall Burke, Stanley Bobby. They've got some interesting names, really interesting names in that squad. And I think they'll be capable of playing to a playoff standard, but I do wonder if it's going to take them that little bit of time, and that's what's going to cost them in terms of their seeding. Again, expansion teams take their time. Expansion teams don't come together at the beginning. Now, they're good enough at the end of the year that doesn't hugely matter. They overtake it, right? The kind of 8th place finish that I've got them for at the moment. But you look at Rhode Island, it took them time. They weren't a great team off the bat. No one's a great team off the bat when you're coming in with that much, just kind of chucking so many players together who've never played together before. And to me, that's why I have them coming in at 8. What do you think?
I get it.
Because you've gone 5, didn't you?
Because like for me, that 3 to 9 team, like we have the same teams through, or we don't. I have Springs at 2, but like I truly think that 3 to 9 is, as I said earlier, you can shuffle it any other way, and I think like that would be realistic. I think for Lexington, it's just going to be picking up points that early in the season. I mean, they don't have to come out the season win games, but as long as they're just not losing, because that's what that Rhode Island team did early in the season. They just didn't lose. They were drawing a ton of games, but they weren't losing. It was 3 losses in their first 10, only 1 win. The rest were draws. So if that's going to be key, just just picking up small amounts of points early in the year, so that way when you hit your form in the summer and that down the stretch, they'll be in a good spot to rise up the table. But I don't know. It's just that how hot they start is going to be the key to where they finish.
There we go. Right, and as we continue looking at teams down the table, San Antonio, I agree with you. I'm not entirely convinced by the signings they've made. They could be good enough for the playoffs, but I've got them just missing. Tulsa, Monterrey Bay, El Paso, not great. Now, here's one thing I'm going to say. This is critical for Phoenix Rising. 4 of their 5 games to start the season are against teams that we, the two of us, have below the playoff line. Rhode Island is the only exception.
Jeez.
This is a team that is going to come into... Am I wrong?
No, you're not. Wow.
No.
Wow.
Now, a lot of those are road games, yes. 3 of those 4 games are on the road. But this team can't afford a sluggish start. You are being given teams that are beatable early on in the year. You got to take advantage. And when you have the kind of turnover we've seen, that's not always easy. But you can't afford to not take advantage. If this team starts well, they could be in for a good season. If this team struggles, they're going to be fighting, I think, an uphill battle thereafter. Because you've got some of your easier on paper games early doors. And you have to take advantage of those. Starting with Tulsa at home in the home opener.
Yeah, because I'm just looking at the schedule now for May to June. They've got to play Switchbacks, New Mexico, Vegas, New Mexico again, Orange County, Charleston, and that's May and June alone. That stretch is going to be difficult, where I would not be surprised if Rising don't pick up many points in there. They do have a couple easier games like Monterey Bay and Tulsa in there, sprinkled through there too. But it is going to, I mean, you're going to need to build a cushion at some point in the year. You need to start early, because I think that May-June stretch is going to be so difficult for this Rising team based off what we see.
All right. Well, we've got a little bit more to talk about. Looking ahead to Friday as we come back from the break. But first, we're going to talk to you about Shady Rays. Now, I've been bugging Max because I want to get some of these Shady Rays. And you know what Max has done?
He just hasn't shown up once.
He's just not here. He hasn't shown
up
once, right? I know. Like, he's just disappeared. But I'm sure he's wearing them. He's out in Africa at the moment, I'm told. That's what we're being told off camera. I don't know how the guy got so far away from here, but I hope he packed his Shady Rays. He's going to need him out there. It's probably pretty sunny, right? It's heating up here. Like,
it is, yeah.
Didn't it hit the 90s already?
I think it did, like 91
It feels like
today.
Summer already, and it's February. You've got to get those shades. You got to get those shades, and Shady Rays have some really good options for you. Rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people, and we got a special deal for you exclusively for our listeners. They are giving out the best deal of the season. Head over to shadyrays.com. Use the code PHNX for 35% off of their polarized sunglasses. That is code PHNX over at shadyrays.com for 35% off. Meanwhile, when you're not outside in the sun, you might be watching Suns.
Yeah.
Watch parties.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how do you make a Suns watch party better?
Pizza.
Pizza. Always pizza. Spinato's, the place to be for Suns fans. They're hosting official watch parties throughout the season where you can watch the game. And they got some contests as well going on. You're not very good at basketball. I think we established that, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Unfortunately not. But you would suddenly show up and be peak LeBron for pizza.
I'd absolutely
100%.
I'd be LeBron
this guy,
James.
he just pulls it out of his back pocket.
Absolutely.
They have their basketball competition going on right now, but you're not spelling horse, you're spelling pizza. And he's going to win some pizza. I think we need to get Rees on that. You can get all the info on those watch parties and their pizza basketball contest over at SpinatosPizzeria.com. Spinato's the official pizza of Phoenix Suns. Right, let's talk about Friday. So, 2 different teams. Red team, black team. Olders and youngers is kind of how they're splitting it.
Yeah.
You got Darnell coaching one team. You got Vikram Vert coaching the other team. I'm told there's a trophy up for grabs.
Interesting.
They will have a trophy. They're going to make this a thing that's going to go, it's not just going to happen this year. They're going to do it further down the line as well.
Okay.
You don't seem convinced by this at all,
I've
Rees.
kind of gotten less and less convinced as I've found out more information. I'm not gonna lie.
Why?
Well, first of all, I think it's just kind of pointless. I mean, I don't know. I just think you're not really getting anything out of it. I think if you I feel like if you're playing against an MLS Pro team, like you're seeing a different look from the team. You're seeing guys you don't see, every day at training. This match you're gonna be going up against guys that you are familiar with, that you've seen essentially pretty much every day since training camp started. That's just kind of my gripe with it. And in a trophy, are you serious? A trophy?
Yeah, they're gonna have a trophy for it.
That's a little bit. That's a bit ridiculous in my eyes. But
Rees is not a fan.
I'm not.
Let us know what you think in the chat, guys. Come on. Those of you who are watching along, let us know what you think. You excited for this one or no?
I'm excited for the media tasting event.
There is going to be a media tasting event before. So Rees and I are going to be eating food and reviewing it.
Though there might be
eat hot dogs if there are
eat.
hot dogs. Rees may eat hot dogs if they're fancy hot dogs. We agreed maybe.
Yeah. It depends how fancy they are. Like, there's a fine line between like if it's just ridiculous amount of toppings, I won't touch it. If it's just the right amount and it looks appetizing, that's the key thing. Because last season,
Kyle, what would you put on a hot dog? And don't say room temperature chili mac. For those of you who don't know, by the way, Kyle eats room temperature chili mac straight out the can.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
All right, man.
He does that for lunch every day.
I'm just like a ketchup? Relish.
He's the ketchup on hot dog guy. Okay.
Yeah.
No mustard?
Are you a
Did
no?
you say mustard, sir?
Oh, mustard too. Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing crazy. Chili though. Don't get me started. Chili's pretty good.
I don't know if I really respect your opinion there because of how
Would it
I
be
know your
room
food eating
temperature or
habits are.
hot?
Yeah, this is key.
I have not tried room temperature on it yet. I will have to report back to you.
He's gonna try.
He's gonna try it. That's what I've heard.
Yes.
Ugh.
I'll let you know. I'll let you know what's better.
Rees is getting flashbacks to the Dunks bun right now. He can't.
No, I'm
he
actually
just-
I'm getting flashbacks to like a random day over summer break. It was a Sunday, and I woke up in pain after a Saturday where I had a hot dog at a Phoenix Rising game. We'll keep the details at a minimum, but let's just say that was a rough morning. Yeah. I'm still traumatized. I walked past that the storage container that they sold the hot dog from on Saturday, and I just shuddered a little bit. It's bad.
I watched the video again from it today, and here's the thing though, Rees. When we talk about that,
hot dog, yeah,
you finished the hot dog.
I was
you
hungry,
said you
man.
couldn't finish it. Yeah, but we'd have got you something else.
Yeah, but didn't want to cause a hassle, and
No, instead you just glued yourself to the
a certain room in the house
for hours the next day.
Yeah, as I said, it wasn't the whole day. It was just the morning. So at least I
He had an
got out of there.
afternoon still,
I had an
guys.
afternoon
It was
in the
just the
evening,
morning
but-
he was out of commission because he
Yeah.
was cleansing.
yeah.
Um,
I was going through an experience that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy.
You're really making it. Here's the thing, right? The guy ate a dodgy hot dog, and he's making it sound right now. It's like he's gone to war. Like, he just ate a bad hot dog.
Well, some say I did go to war the next day. But
He has
Yeah.
flashbacks still. bad
Yeah.
flashbacks. You think the food will be better? You've seen some of the items
I
they're bringing
hope
in.
so.
How do you feel about some of those items?
They're interesting. I mean, I think like 2 of the 3 have hot Cheeto dust.
How do you
but
feel about hot Cheeto dust? Is it
I-
overhyped or
It
what?
has a place, but I don't
Poll
think it has a
the
place
room right
on
now.
everything.
Kyle, hot Cheeto dust on like all this stuff or no?
I've never had that.
Never had that. Well, how do you feel over there? We got Kevin looking on hot Cheeto dust. I don't know, just on snacks in general. It gets an ear. I
yeah.
feel like it's a bit of a fad to like
Yeah.
novelty. Like it's a fad type thing. It's kind of like a look. We can put hot Cheeto dust on this as well. I guess
I was
It's
walking
kinda how
through the
it feels.
grocery store and they had it on the sushi there. And I was like,
That's
there's no way
that's just
good.
over
That's
the
pushing
top.
it. Yeah.
Like I don't get that.
No, I don't either.
I don't get that. But okay. I don't know. How do we feel about the food items? I'll read some of them off. Let's have a look at this. The media tasting. Hang on.
Hi,
It's
Kevin.
not there. Hi, Kevo. I mean, you can just come over here and chat as well. You could just take the headset off of.
Who's Rees?
Yeah, you spot Rees wrong as well in the chat, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shameful.
You can't come
that's
over here anymore.
Yeah,
really
you're banned.
Yeah, you're
Sorry.
banned now. All right, so the
I didn't think you
nachos,
were.
right? So you get a pizza box with no idea how big the pizza
Yeah,
box is. We'll
that's
find
so
out.
vague.
But $18.
That better be like an extra large pizza box.
He's looking for like a
$18.
full size pizza
Yeah.
right now, not like a personal, not like the little ones you get when you get like a personal pizza at
Yeah.
these events. You want like big. Chicken tinga, roasted red peppers, black beans, cilantro, nacho cheese, sour cream, and of course hot Cheeto dust.
It sounds
It was a
good
hot. I mean,
until the last.
see, Kev is now just like laughing.
What?
Do you see what we mean? Like, the hot Cheeto dust feels like it's a gimmick here. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds good until you. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be bad with the hot Cheeto dust, but I just question. It's like what? Who decided to put it on? There?
I mean, at this point, we are kind of speculating of a food that we don't have, and maybe the hot Cheeto dust won't be much. I mean, from the picture, it looks like it's just kind of like.
Oh,
have you seen the picture? There was a picture on the press release.
That doesn't look half
I can't
bad.
show you guys at the moment, but maybe I can. Hang on a minute.
That
Let me
might-
download this picture. I am getting it over to our producer right now. And this will let's get this up. This is what it looks like if this is the actual what it looks like.
If that's what it looks like,
And it looks like it's in a pizza box as well, actually.
looks like it could be good.
That
it looks like
I mean,
it could
it
be
looks
good.
okay to me, to be fair.
I
The
don't-
question is going to be how it tastes, because nacho cheese is also something that can
Yeah.
be like.
Yeah, that is
There
true.
are different scales to this, right? Can we have a look here, producer Kyle? Can we have a look at here we
Yeah,
are. Here
you
are
see
the
that?
nachos based on the picture we got sent by Phoenix Rising. How do we feel about that? I mean, Kev, you can chuck it in the chat there. I mean, I
Interesting.
see where they've got the Cheeto dust stuff on top, but like, I don't know if it may be
Why?
too much.
Yeah.
Like, why? That's my question.
It feels like it's like a gimmick, but I mean,
You need to
okay.
add something, but I don't think that's the
Is it
something.
because it's like rising red?
Is that the only picture we have of the food items, or are there? Like,
That's the only picture that was at the top, yeah. Black and red chorta with a fresh baked vanilla ice cream, cinnamon sugar churro, blackberry raspberry jam, and vanilla crumble.
that
It's gonna be
sounds like it could
$12.
be very, very good.
It's one of those dessert items that's either going to be great or it's going to make you like immediately hate life.
Yeah, and it also
And I don't mean that in like a bad way, like it won't taste good. But you know, sometimes sugary things you just eat and then you immediately go like, yeah.
The I have a question though, because it says it's in the grab and go section.
How do they keep that ice
How
cream
do they keep that
nice
ice
and
cream?
frosty? By the way, people are asking how much stuff will cost. So this one, the black and red chorta dessert is $12. The 18-yard box rising nachos will cost $18. There's another question there from Bonnie about veteran players and younger players. Yes, it'll be olders against youngers, but it's going to be a bit awkward because obviously this is quite a young squad. So there are some players on the
Yeah,
olders
you're
that
like
are young.
24 getting into the
Um,
older player squad.
All right, now here we go. This one is going to be available at all container bars, the popcorn tent, and at the grab and go. Red and black rising kettle corn.
Is
It's
it
going to
gonna-
be caramel kettle corn mixed with hot Cheeto kettle corn.
I like that, like when you at Christmas time when you get like the 3 types of popcorn in that big tin. I like that. I live for that every year. But I just think making it hot Cheeto is again a little bit much. We can just stick with. I mean, I get what they're trying to do, red and black, but it's I don't know.
But
I'm just
caramel's
not a
not.
fan. Yeah, I'm scared how much food dyes going into this. Like that is
We'll
something
see.
that I feel like that's gonna look
We're
like
genuinely going to see
radioactive.
on these.
That's gonna look. You're gonna see that, and it's just gonna be like, yeah, there's no way that's good for you in any shape or form. Like there's no way that was that color at any shape before.
It's going
it
to
was
cost
made.
$12, by the way, for this.
That back better be huge.
You might explode.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Red 40. Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm intrigued. I want to see because this food could be good.
It could be.
It could be genuinely good.
I thought a lot of the food items last year were gonna be good. They were not. So
Rees is setting the challenge. Phoenix Rising, you better deliver.
yeah,
Rees is ready to be impressed, right? If you get the Rees seal of approval on any of these food
they
items,
should like hang that up. You know?
that's like a Michelin star for
It
USL
genuinely
Championship
is
football
because
stadiums.
I think
Like,
I think I've had 2 good items that like I fully completed and I actually liked afterwards. Like there were a few items I liked on the first bite. I think the only 2 I genuinely enjoyed once I completed was the Euro in Oakland, which every time I have any food at a sporting event I think about, and the brisket sandwich at Rising, which was very good.
Actually, what about the donuts? The mini donuts?
The donuts were good, but yeah, I feel like if you mess up donuts, then we've got a bigger problem. But we also said that
Well, they
about
messed up
hot
with
dogs.
So then, Rees is going to be reviewing these food items. We got the kit reveal as well. Should we talk about kits quickly?
Forgot about that.
Yeah,
boring
red kit.
Adidas.
There's going to be a black kit. How are we feeling?
It's Adidas templates.
Those Adidas
Boo.
templates. Yay.
I mean, I just saw San Antonio release their Charlie kits today. I don't think they look great, but they're Charlie, which is unique. Monterey Bay's, as I said earlier, look good. I like the brands. I like the non big brands like the Charlie, the Hummel. Louisville's with Puma are a bit bland. New Mexico's with Puma are bad. But I just don't like Adidas kits unless you're like
I just
a
don't
top
understand.
5
Can I
club
just
in the
say
world.
this now on San Antonio in particular? I don't like the way that they've marginalized red
Yeah,
out
no,
from
I
there.
agree.
I liked the red in their kits. I thought that was them, and they've just gone, no, we're not red anymore.
Yeah.
And
Oh
I
wow,
hate
that
that.
goalkeeper. Do you see it? The black one.
Yeah,
with
I
the,
know. Also,
Interesting.
shout out New Mexico using the same kit again.
And it's not a good one. It's just paint splatters, but they changed the ad. They
Did change the sponsor slightly, so that now it
Wow.
draws even more attention to the front of shirt sponsor.
It's bad.
Max would be excited about that one.
Or we would be livid because we're talking about him. Who
No,
knows?
because we didn't mention them
True.
by name. Meow Wolf, by the way, for
Yeah.
anyone who is wondering.
Their iconic logo.
yeah,
I
who
think, was there.
sponsors San Antonio?
Some random like health insurance, I think.
Health insurance. Yeah, but you gotta give me the name, mate. Otherwise, it doesn't
Community
wind Max.
First Health Plans.
There we go. What about Monterey Bay? Are we just doing this now, just to wind Max up? Max is gone. We can do as many free ads as we like.
They have Montage Health. I think that's what.
Remember
that
when you
says?
did the whole like past abilities thing?
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about
And
that.
they
That was
effectively were just
weird.
sponsoring John Morris's
Yeah, that was strange.
predictions that they had nothing to do with. And they
Yeah.
had a sponsor for it. And then I went to the sponsor's website and they like the first thing that greeted me was a Bible quote.
Interesting. Do we know if John got paid?
No, John did not get paid for that.
That's vile. That's very USL Championship though. I feel
it's so USL
That's
Championship. These rabbit holes that they just go
Yeah.
down. I mean, I don't know. Are you feeling like there's a chance we could see something interesting or not? What do you, in an ideal world, and I know, look, you hear what you hear. We both hear what we hear. So it's not like we're coming into this necessarily on zero knowledge of what the kits may or may not look like. But if you could have your dream, even within Adidas, what are like just the little things that you'd like?
I like when it's red and black on the home. So like I know the red and black stripes was a different look, but like I like red and black. I didn't like the red and gold that much. The red and white doesn't work. It needs to be red and black.
Okay, so red and black at home, that's fine. For the away kit, I personally think that the idea of pairing yellow, which is a color that they have, with black is completely missed as an opportunity from this club that they never use. Black and yellow goes great as a color scheme, and I just don't think that this team has ever tried to use that in a way.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah, because the black and gold really, and the gold's so different. James Wilson, who thinks the kits will be the same? Knowing Adidas, probably. I mean,
yeah.
they've pretty much had the same pinstripe template twice with Adidas, so
Pretty much. Well, we'll get that news on Friday. Reese will be out doing some interviews as well on Friday. We're going to make you do some interviews, Reese. So
with
make
who?
sure, fans. So
Oh.
if you see Reese around and you want to give your thoughts looking up ahead to the season, make sure to track this kid down. We'll send him roaming around, I think, to pick some things up. That sound good to you?
It does
Rees
now.
didn't even know
It
that
did
this was
not.
happening, but I just told
Yeah.
him and broke that news to him here on the pod. Right. Well, we're running a little bit short on time now. That's the last 5 minutes of this. But before we go, we do want to pay tribute. Obviously, there was some quite sad news that came out in the Rising community earlier this week. Andrew Baker, one of the most notable faces you'd see in the South End, passing away. And just going to share some of the comments that were said on Facebook from various fans, because you guys put this in far better than we could. Jose Bosch, devastated to hear this news. Andrew was the definition of a passionate fan. Few could claim they loved their club more. Bruce Boyd in here. No one had more passion than this man. No one. As we keep moving on down through these, obviously, we're calling here for the club to do something to commemorate. They did put out a post, and I believe they're still kind of talking. Christian Vasquez in here. There isn't one fan that had more passion than he did. Rode the best 20 miles of carpool, never missed a match, no matter how hot it was. Most importantly, no matter what, never failed to show kindness to everyone. You will be missed. More condolences again. Just so many condolences in here, which I think tells you something as well. When you see these posts and you've got 30 odd comments on here, people just pouring in, and most of, if not all of these, are people who actually met, who encountered Andrew over the years. We got one in here. I'm heartbroken to hear this news. Andrew was the kindest person. I'll forever cherish the moments we shared. Rest easy, my friend. Yeah, it's really sad one to kind of kick the season off.
Yeah, and he really was one of the most passionate supporters. I mean, he was around since the Phoenix FC days, I believe, and he lived up in North Phoenix, and he commuted the game by any way possible. I mean, you mentioned, someone said there, the bus. He took the light rail sometimes. He carpooled down with me and my family a couple times too, and he just, as someone said there, he just found the way to get to the game by any means possible, and that's passion. I mean, he really was one of the most passionate supporters, and he also just was just a wealth of knowledge about Phoenix soccer. I mean, there were a few times where I talked to him, and he'd mention an indoor team that I hadn't ever heard of, but they played 2 years in this random league, and he just told me all these stories. He was just a great guy, great to chat, and he really will be missed here around the South End, just around the whole club, really.
You bump into him at any event, pretty much, that people are at.
Yeah.
He'd always be there, always happy to chat, always wanting to chat about Phoenix Rising. He loved this club. I'll finish off this with one comment here that really stood out from the various people that hopped in with their condolences. This was from Owain. I'm going to have to edit out some of the swear words, unfortunately, here, but this cuts deep. Andrew's love for professional football in the Valley was inspirational. You can't even imagine the things he had to go through, tough out, persevere from, to be at every single home match from day one, no matter the stadium, and there have been many, through every iteration of this club. No matter how far, no matter the weather, Andrew always showed up. Personal hardships, health issues, living in the Valley with no car, it did not matter. What mattered to him was watching this club play football and sing his golden heart out for 90 plus minutes. We should all just marvel at how he did it. He has shown what true love is and what you would do in whatever circumstance because of it. We have all been the better for it and hope we will not all be lesser without it.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah. Not really sure there's much that we can follow that up with. So I think at this point we're going to draw this one towards a close. We will see you there if you're heading off to the preseason intra-squad scrimmage on Friday. Phoenix Rising splitting into two teams there, red team, black team. It will be youngers against olders. Darnell King on one side, Vikram Virk on the other. And that'll be our last chance to get a look at this team before the season starts. Rees going to be eating some food as well and doing other kit reveal. Yeah, there's a lot to go through this Friday. And of course, we will be back here for the PHNX Rising podcast, the last one before the regular season kicks off next Wednesday at 6 o'clock. In the meantime, you can follow us on social media at PHNX__Rising. There's 2 underscores in there. You can follow me on Twitter, OJMs18. You can follow Rees on Twitter at Rees11_. You can follow our producer Kyle over on Twitter at KCoopSports. Kev is kind of just staring at us right now. Kev, what's your Twitter handle? Kevo Posts is his Twitter handle. There we go. So if you want to join in Kev and spell Reese's name wrong, then
Terrible.
go
I'll
ahead
never
and do
forgive
it.
him.
You know you can do that. You know you can join in with that one. Right. Whew. We will be back here Wednesday, 6 o'clock next week. Again, final one before the season starts. And maybe, just maybe, we'll even have a visit from Mr. Simpson
Good one.
himself. Until then, goodbye.
We all silly like the mayor.